And don't you just find that the Department of Work and Pensions has all of the power and all of the resources and all of the mindset and all of the engineering to cut your benefit off if you don't give them a flipping bank statement when you've got no money anyway? But my God, dare you go to work as a disabled person and get a job and an employer doesn't do anything? Let's just give them 2 long years to put that disabled person through hell before we even think of doing something about it. Well, how about that? I have seen it all now. I mean, at this point, I'm just wondering if the Department of Work and Pensions needs to undergo kind of like false advertising risk assessment. Disability confident scheme overhauled to boost workplace standards for disabled people. Now, why don't I believe a single word of this? Oh, I know. Maybe that's because the Department of Work and Pensions, when I worked for them not so long ago, didn't follow a single policy for me as a disabled employee entering into their workplace through the Disability Confidence Scheme. In fact, let's just have a little look at all of the documents that they never completed, which they should have done according to their Disability Confidence Scheme, needless to say the Equality Act, just in case anybody was thinking of going back to work in the UK if you're disabled. I know, let's start by looking at my very own probationary review document. This, by the way, has been used in my own court case, so I can most definitely share it. I've obviously blanked out some people's names, but let's have a little look. And if you don't know what this is, when you start a new job, particularly the Department of Work and Pensions, you're meant to have a review every single month on how you're doing, any support you might need as a disabled person, and training and all that good stuff. Well, it appears for me they didn't complete it at all. So here is the work expectations of what I was meant to be doing. Virtual training for 7 weeks and then going into a full open diary in week 10. And then we go through, oh, look at that. No date agreed there. Oh, look at that. Use the space below to record any identified learning and development needs, learning planned and completed. I did the training, obviously, but it seems like somebody, like the manager or one of them, forgot to complete that. Let's go on to month 2. Let's see how well DWP treat people at work. Let's go on to month 2. So month 2, oh, first review meeting, mandatory. Honestly, you could not make this up. Mandatory means you have to do it. Mandatory probation review meeting. Looks like that didn't get completed either. No discussion, no form completed. So no one checking to see how I was as a disabled person and if I was doing my job properly. Let's go on to month. What are we on now? Oh, sorry, we're at second review meeting at 5-month stage. As we can see there, empty. That hasn't been completed either. Tick below if the employee has met the required standards, attendance, work performance, conduct, manager's signature, employee signature. You imagine if you didn't do this as a claimant, if you didn't complete all of the boxes. You know, all of these people, by the way, are still employed by the Department of Work and Pensions, shockingly, even though it's been a 5-year court case and I won unlawful harassment and failure, as we can clearly see in many ways, to make reasonable adjustments. But they're still, it's all right, they've still got their jobs. Oh, insane. Right, let's go on. No, nothing completed there. And on to the next month. Nothing completed there. Oh, end of probation. Use this space to record an overview of evidence to support your statement. Has the employee met the required standards of attendance, conduct, and work performance? Nothing's been completed there. Well, if that wasn't bad enough, let's have a look at how they dealt with my disability and how they gave me all this wonderful support that their new press release that was released yesterday says they're giving to disabled people in 2026. In fact, let's show you the press release first. Disability Confidence Scheme overhauled. Let's have a right little close look into this. Well, rather interesting to read that they say, while around 2/3 of employers agree that joining the scheme had a positive impact on their organisation, I'm quite sure that a 5-year court case with me did not have a positive impact on your organisation. But anyway, the landmark Keep Britain Working review by Sir Charles Mayfield concluded that while it has many positive aspects, it lacks teeth. Lacks teeth. It's simply not fit for purpose. Nobody, and we're not talking about one person here. I think there are about 15 different people involved in me as a disabled person starting to work there and consistently asking for trigger points, which were my right as a disabled person. So let's just have a little look at the piece of information or the conduct of these civil servants at DWP, not following processes, basically being boiled down to lacking teeth, shall we? Oh, here we go. Attendance management plan. Oh my God. Yes, they even do it to employees. So 5 days work per week. Trigger points. Trigger points, by the way, are the crucial part of my case. It is what permitted me to win my case, or part of my case, because as we can see here, I haven't been awarded trigger points for a disabled person. And how do we know that? We know that because it also had this little guide underneath it as to how many points you should be according people for as if they're disabled or non-disabled. None of which, by the way, were followed and none of which were implemented despite me requesting them for 2 years, resulting in quite a lot of harassment and bullying in the workplace. Of course, DWP would not agree to that. They would say, oh, we just simply had a process or didn't comply with the process and it lacked teeth. Now I'm going to go on to the next part, which quite frankly, given my own personal experience, and let's not forget, I'm not the only person that worked for this organisation that went through this complete flipping sham show that they call employment. Let's not forget. I mean, just Google it. Just go on to any social media and see a lot of people that have worked for this organisation really spouting off. So the Disability Confidence Scheme has 3 levels of commitment. We are reducing the time employers can remain at the entry level from 3 years to 2 and removing the option for them to renew at this level to encourage employers to progress up the scheme. Basically, that means it's to make sure that employers are actually doing what they're meant to be doing for a disabled person. So they're going to cut it from 3 years to 2 so they can check. Well, it's a very long time, isn't it? Because within 2 years, I had started a legal process against you and then had a 5-year court case. I don't think that that's appropriate, actually. I think it should be like 2 months. If an employer hasn't got it together in 2 months, no, I think something needs to be done. What do you think, guys? Again, this is let's put disabled people back to work. Let's pick on the poor. Let's pick on the vulnerable. Let's pick on the disabled and then make them wait at least 2 years before anything can be done about it. Another crappy I don't know, reinvention of a load of crock of nothing in particular that's going to do absolutely nothing for disabled people, methinks. Reflecting the views and voices of disabled people. Who are these people? What were they? Five people that were cherry picked from the whole of the UK. Where are all of these reviews of disabled people? Anyone else in my comments? Anyone in my audience been asked at the job centre, what do you think about DWP's new disability confidence scheme? Has your work coach asked you? Or is she just focused on asking you about your bank statements? Let me know in the comments. So now we've had a little look at that very snowflake, paper-light piece of, well, God, I don't know what you can call that. Not quite policy, is it? Let's just, let's be honest. Let's have some hard truths about what's not in there, shall we? So number one, there is still no enforcement. It's all like, oh, what can the wee little disabled person do for the business? And, oh, isn't the business been wonderful including these people? But what if they don't? And don't you just find that the Department of Work and Pensions has all of the power and all of the resources and all of the mindset and all of the engineering to cut your benefit off if you don't give them a flipping bank statement when you've got no money anyway? But my God, dare you go to work as a disabled person and get a job and an employer doesn't do anything? Let's just give them 2 long years to put that disabled person through hell before we even think of doing something about it. Well, how about that? What if they don't follow the rules? What's going to happen then? There's no direct legal consequences for breaching the Equality Act. Nobody tell me, oh yeah, it's law, you know, prove it. It's very difficult to prove when you've got people like DWP's legal team literally typing out things that they think you've said or they think you've done and then saying, yeah, that's what you did, because that is pretty much what their legal team tried to do to me. No guarantee that disability confident equals reasonable adjustments. I mean, that is very, very serious. No independent monitoring. Who's going to be monitoring these businesses? Who? I mean, what's the organisation that's dealing with this? You know, where's the bar? Where is the legislation that says an employer has got to do this, this and this, and otherwise there are going to be consequences? Again, it seems to me like the only people being protected are going to be the employers, because of course, if it all goes, you know, tits up, as they say, you're going to have deep pockets as an employee to take them to court, or you're going to have to be very ballsy and do it yourself and work it out like I did. Either way, I'm afraid that's getting the big fat thumbs down for me. But because I don't want to be the complete bearer of bad news, one of the biggest things, right, that is not mentioned there at all is this: starting a business. Why is there not more information about starting a business? Now, I know a lot about this, and over on my other YouTube channel, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment, I do go into this quite a lot. And I'm going to do a couple of videos, I think, over this weekend about how people who are disabled can start businesses, about people who are on benefits can start businesses, because this is the elephant in the room that has just not been addressed. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because if you are disabled, starting a business, guaranteed, if it's an online business, you're going to be in a much better situation than if you're going out and trying to work for an employer. You can earn a lot more income. You can have all your reasonable adjustment requests that you like. You won't have to ask anybody. You won't have to wait 2 years for permission. And you can get up to £69,250 a year from the Access to Work or Access to Self-Employment Fund. Not to mention a lot more. Why are they not telling you about this? Because they want you all at work. They want you off the benefits and at work. I say get off the benefits and start your own business. Much better. And that is exactly what this 68-year-old cowboy Rory from Oklahoma has done. And he's now got 3.5 million followers, 3.5 million followers on YouTube, and he's created amazing business. He's got his own website, his own cookbooks, his own little recipe thing going on, his ranch sauces, his Texan rubs, or whatever it is they are. It's amazing. And I have gone and had a good old gander through his business, because this is one of the things I do love to do. It is one of the things I do professionally, is business coaching. And I've broken down his entire business step by step in a YouTube video, and I've showed you why it's successful. And if you want to watch it, I'm going to leave the link down below. Midlife business started, I think it was started at 68 or 65, can't remember quite what. But it's a really good video. It will take you through, all of the reasons why that's successful and how you could potentially do something similar yourself. My take two on this is don't get a job, start a business instead. Because the pain and the expense and the nightmare of having to take an employer to court when they don't comply, because most of them don't, let's be honest, when you're disabled, it's just not worth it. So don't put yourself through it. That would definitely be my take. But you guys, you do you and I'll do me. And I will see you in the next video.